Imagine lying next to the person you once couldn't stop talking to, hearing only the sound of breathing and the noise of your own thoughts. The room is quiet, but your mind is loud. You rehearse sentences you'll never say, questions you're afraid to ask, emotions you don't know how to explain. Somewhere between the wedding vows and this silence, something broke, and now the words feel heavier than stones. This is the hidden story of countless marriages where intimacy has faded, not just from the bedroom, but from conversation itself. Today we're diving deep into why men stop talking in sexless marriages, not to blame, but to understand, because silence is never random. It's built, layer by layer, moment by moment, until one day it feels safer to say nothing at all. In the beginning, most relationships are loud with connection. Men talk more than they think they do. They share dreams, jokes, plans, fears, even insecurities they've never spoken aloud before. There's curiosity in every conversation, a desire to be seen and chosen. Physical intimacy reinforces that bond, acting as a wordless language that says, "You matter to me, I want you." When sex is alive, communication often flows more easily, not because men only care about sex, but because intimacy creates emotional safety. It reassures a man that he is desired, accepted, and valued. When that reassurance slowly disappears, the first thing many men lose isn't desire, it's confidence. As a marriage becomes sexless, many men don't immediately shut down. At first they try to talk. They ask gently, then more directly. They hint, they joke, they initiate conversations late at night, hoping for honesty, hoping for closeness. Often what they meet instead is avoidance, defensiveness, or dismissal. You only think about one thing. Why are you making such a big deal out of this? I'm tired. You're pressuring me. Each response feels like a small rejection, not just of sex, but of their emotional need to feel wanted. Over time, these small rejections pile up, and something shifts inside. Men are often taught, explicitly or implicitly, that their worth in a relationship is tied to being strong, stable, and self-contained. Admitting emotional pain, especially around sexual rejection, can feel humiliating. So when attempts to talk don't lead to understanding, many men internalize the message that their needs are either unreasonable or invisible. They stop asking not because they don't care, but because caring hurts too much. Silence becomes a form of self-protection. One of the deepest reasons men stop talking in sexless marriages is shame. Not loud shame, but quiet, corrosive shame that whispers, "If she doesn't want you, something must be wrong with you." Even when men logically understand that libido changes can be caused by stress, health issues, hormones, or emotional distance, emotionally they often personalize it. They question their attractiveness, masculinity, and value as a partner. Talking about these feelings would require vulnerability, but vulnerability feels dangerous when rejection has already occurred. So instead of risking another emotional wound, many men retreat inward. Another powerful factor is the repeated experience of being misunderstood. When men try to explain that sex represents connection, affection, and reassurance, they're often met with interpretations that reduce their feelings to physical urges. This creates a painful disconnect. Imagine trying to express loneliness and being told you're just horny. Over time, men learn that their emotional language isn't being translated accurately. When you feel consistently misunderstood, you eventually stop speaking. Silence feels easier than explaining yourself again and again, only to feel dismissed. Resentment also plays a major role. In sexless marriages, resentment doesn't usually explode, it accumulates quietly. Men may feel that they're fulfilling responsibilities, providing stability, being loyal, and showing up, yet their core need for intimacy is ignored. They might notice that affection exists for everyone else in their partner's life, children, friends, work, but not for them. This imbalance breeds bitterness, and bitterness poisons conversation. When resentment grows, talking feels pointless, because deep down the man no longer believes change is possible. Fear of conflict is another reason silence takes over. Many men associate talking about sex with arguments, tension, or emotional blow-ups. They learn the pattern, bring it up, things get heated, nothing changes, and the emotional distance grows even wider. Eventually, the brain starts avoiding the topic altogether as a way to maintain surface-level peace. Silence becomes a coping mechanism, a way to avoid fights, even though it slowly erodes the relationship from within. There's also grief in sexless marriages that rarely gets acknowledged. Men grieve the loss of the relationship they thought they had, the future they imagined, the version of themselves that felt desired and alive. Grief doesn't always look like tears. Sometimes it looks like withdrawal. When a man stops talking, he may be mourning quietly, accepting what feels like an irreversible loss. Speaking would require admitting that loss out loud, and that can feel unbearable. As time passes, silence can turn into emotional numbness. To survive ongoing rejection, some men disconnect not only from their partner, but from their own feelings. This numbness can look like apathy, distraction, or emotional flatness. Conversations become transactional, focused only on logistics, bills, schedules, children. Anything deeper feels risky. The marriage continues on the surface, but intimacy, emotional and physical, has faded beneath it. In many cases, men also stop talking because they feel powerless. If every conversation leads nowhere, silence can feel like the only remaining control. It's not a healthy form of control, but it's a psychological response to feeling trapped. Talking requires hope, and hope feels dangerous when disappointment has become the norm. Silence allows men to lower expectations and reduce emotional pain. The longer silence lasts, the harder it becomes to break. Habits form. Distance becomes normal. Men may start investing emotional energy elsewhere, into work, hobbies, screens, or solitude. These distractions aren't always signs of indifference, often they're survival strategies. When intimacy at home feels unreachable, men look for places where they don't feel rejected. Yet beneath the silence, many men still want connection. They still want to feel close, to laugh, to be touched, to matter. Silence doesn't mean the desire disappeared. It means the risk feels too high. Ironically, the very thing that could heal the distance, honest conversation, feels impossible once silence has taken root. The tragedy of sexless marriages is not just the lack of sex, but the loss of emotional safety. When men stop talking, it's often because they believe their words no longer matter. They've learned, consciously or unconsciously, that speaking leads to pain, not connection. So they choose quiet, even though it slowly breaks their hearts. Understanding this doesn't mean ignoring the needs, struggles, or boundaries of women in these marriages. Sexless marriages are complex, and both partners carry pain. But if we want healing, we must understand that male silence is rarely laziness or indifference. It's often a sign of emotional exhaustion, unmet needs, and unspoken grief. If you're a man watching this and you recognize yourself in this silence, know this: your need for intimacy is not shallow, selfish, or wrong. Wanting connection is human. And if you're a partner trying to understand why your husband has grown quiet, consider that beneath that silence may be years of unheard words and unacknowledged pain. Breaking the silence doesn't start with blame, it starts with safety. It starts when both partners feel seen, not judged, heard, not dismissed. It starts when intimacy is recognized as emotional as well as physical. It starts with the courage to listen, even when the truth is uncomfortable. Silence may feel like protection, but over time it becomes a prison. Words, when spoken with empathy and honesty, still have the power to rebuild bridges that seem long gone. The quiet doesn't have to be the end of the story unless both people stop believing change is possible. And if this message resonated with you, if you've lived this silence or are living in it right now, you're not alone. Many men are carrying the same unspoken weight, wondering how things became so quiet. Sometimes, understanding is the first step toward change. If you found value in this video, please like it to help others who need to hear this message. Share it with someone who might be struggling in silence, and subscribe to the channel for more honest conversations about relationships, intimacy, and emotional health. Your support helps keep these stories alive, and your voice matters more than you think.